All right, welcome back, everyone, for another episode of Dollar Bin Digging. This is the video series and article that I do for comicbookinvest.com, where I talk about those books that are still probably tucked away in those cheap boxes, those back issue bins, those cheap bins, those dollar boxes, flea markets, yard sales, wherever you find your cheap comic books. These are things you might be able to still dig out of there based off of some of the recent news, rumors, announcements, things going on TV shows, and in the comics. Let's not forget the source material, after all, you can still find if you want to connect to some of the stories going on there in the current issues. Hopefully you're still enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And yeah, if you want to see what books I got for you this week based off of some of the recent stuff, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro and I will be right back. All right, so where do we want to start off this week? Let's go start off on the DC side of things. We actually reviewed Nightwing 105 on the Tax Show just yesterday, and during that, I did notice, I was like, hey, there's Daryl, from The Office. I was like, oh, yeah. And I didn't realize there were more cameos from The Office in that book until now, when I saw this article over on comicbookresources.com. But I thought it was kind of fun. So in this first-person storyline perspective that they told this whole tale, again, in Nightwing 105, just came out this week. Decent read, decent series going on right now. So if you haven't been reading it, I suggest you go and pick it up. But as I said, just for fun, he's running through an office building chasing after one of the Double Dare girls here. And you can see, look, there's Dwight on the one side, and you got Kelly, and all the characters here mixed out through, and there's Stanley down below. Meredith in the back, looks like Michael Scott. All these cameos from The Office. A lot of fun running through Dunder Mifflin here. So you see, again, this is from Nightwing's perspective. So all these shots are from his first-person point of view. And then we had this a little bit later in the elevator. This is where I noticed Daryl back there, and I think that's Ryan Howard with him. But again, kind of fun little note, right? Now, I'm not going to tell you about any Office comic books that you should be buying based off of this. This is kind of a fun little thing. And like I said, go pick up this issue of Nightwing. It's actually a decent read. But in this issue, and one of the girls he was chasing here is one of those twins from the team called Double Dare. Twin sisters, I believe they are, these acrobats, thieves, etc. They were actually first introduced, as Marco pointed out, and again, during our review yesterday, in Nightwing 32. So going back to 1999 or thereabouts, you can go and find this first appearance in those, hopefully in those cheap boxes. This is, old school, I think it was Scott McDaniel on the art, Chuck Dixon writing this, this run of Nightwing. And yes, again, here is Double Dare in their first appearance inside the guts of this book. Only one copy of this sold recently, but, sold for a few bucks, like $9 there. It's not too bad. So if you can find this for $1 or $2, you did pretty well. And when you look at some of the asking prices, yeah, cheap copies are on the $7 range, but they actually go up to $15 to $18. So I guess Double Dare is a more important team than I thought of, even though they've only been in like 3 or 4 issues throughout their entire run since the 90s. Like, that's it. They haven't showed up a lot. But maybe they're going to have a bigger role in the current run. I don't know. They've shown up in the last 6 issues twice in that time. So, yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. But so Nightwing, they were in a few issues there during this run of back in the 90s, and like I said, then they weren't brought back until the Rebirth time. And we could look at this Nightwing 68, which was a little while ago. I want to say this is 2020, maybe. I forget what year this might have been, but whenever issue 68 was for this current run of Nightwing, they were inside. Granted, they didn't have much of a role. They were just in the background here of all these villains, like it's in this montage kind of picture of villains. But hey, there they are right there in the center, and being reintroduced into the newer mythos of DC since those old school days from the 90s. Because we've gone through how many crises since then. So the universe has been reset, with New 52 and Rebirth, etc. So these are technically reintroductions, technically newer characters. I don't know. However you want to view it. It is what it is. But if you're interested in this book for this reason, again, they only show up here. This is the only place they show up in the book. But it's a $2 to $10 book. I don't know. $2 to $10 is what it's sold for. And asking prices, anywhere from $4.50, $7 up to like $13. Again, I'm surprised that it's even asking that for a regular back issue of Nightwing. As far as I'm concerned, that's all this is a regular back issue. But hey, there it is. Now, since 68, it took all the way until issue 99 before we saw them again. I dig this negative space cover. There's a really cool one at 50 that has a lot of like text and mixed in there. But that book's kind of expensive because it is a 1 in 50 after all. But in issue 99, we do get Double Dare back. Here they're like as backup bodyguards or whatever, to this character in the story. I don't remember everything just off the top of my head, but not that it matters. That's when they were brought back. So with some quick little editing, I've got the right slide in here, and this is selling just for around cover price. You can see that $3.99 to like $5 for the heavier stock card stock type cover. So it's basically still selling for cover price, and it's also backed up by the available copies as well. Just around $4.99 is all you're looking at for this book. Granted, hopefully you can find this a little bit cheaper. Maybe you find it in an overstock back issue box or a cheaper box. I don't know how quickly your shop or the stores near you might discount books, but that's really contingent on, again, the shops you have in your area, just like it is for anything. So I'm just throwing out ideas of some books you might still be able to go and find out of those cheap boxes, depending on how your shop does their business. Or even the places that aren't your shop, your half-price books and your Books a Million, places that get things in bulk, etc. I don't know, just saying. It's a book you might still be able to find, even though it's only like 6 months old. So it's not that old, but one you might be able to find. That said, it's still not their first. It's just, again, more a recent issue, just a third one I was kind of throwing onto the pile, talking about Double Dare. But enough about Double Dare. Let's go on over to Soup's side of things. And it looks like Jimmy Olsen apparently is hooking up with the Silver Banshee. So his new villainous love interest apparently is more than just a little fling. It's somehow we might be getting a little bit more out of Jimmy because of this. I don't know. I'm not been keeping up totally with on the Superman side of things as probably I should. I just wasn't into action. It was just way too many characters. It just was not that interesting. The reintroduction to Superman wasn't bad, but I am an issue or two behind now. Maybe I'll go and catch up so we can see what's going on there. But with Jimmy Olsen's romance with Silver Banshee, apparently it matters. Let's look at her first appearance because that might make this something that is more worthy of looking into again. If she's going to be hanging around more than just a one-off issue appearance here. But Action Comics number 595 was her first. So there you go, right there. Silver Banshee. You can still go and find these out there. Again, this is a first appearance. So it's one that people have known about for a while, but that doesn't mean you still can't sneak this out of a box for cheap. Granted, copies could sell for as high as like $25 there, or $22.74, $18.99. And look, a best offer on $7.95. So under $8 for a very fine copy isn't too bad either. But asking prices for this type of book, 10, 15, $10. So it's really not that expensive. So you're not going to get rich if you find it, but maybe you can go, like I said, you could score one for cheap out of a back issue box. I don't know. Might be worth a second look, right? That's all I'm saying. She might be hanging around for a while. We might be getting some more story out of this. So something to look into. And as I said, this is kind of a scavenger hunt kind of thing for you anyway. That's where I pick these books out just to see, hey, see if you can find them. Why not challenge you? For the Marvel side of things, there wasn't a lot for me to get into this week. So I actually even had to stretch to get this. I actually read this issue of Venom. I didn't really know what was going on. I just knew we were getting a newer Venom inside of it. So I figured, let me read it to see what's going on. And I don't get it. Again, I'm not all up to date about Venom and it being the new King in Black, the new symbiote god, or whatever the heck he is. I just know he had villainous or other future versions of himself that apparently he had to face. And in this one, we find out how we're getting a four-armed Hulk-sized Venom, apparently. And the reason we're getting a four-armed Hulk-sized Venom in this issue 21 of Venom is because he faces off against Bedlam, which is just another kind of version of Venom in his own mind, but it was also a physical altercation. And then at the end of the day, he used his nerve endings to go and pull them together. And so I don't know. So now we got this huge red Venom with four arms at the end of this. So there you go. Huge four-armed red Venom. And Bedlam, if you're curious, because Bedlam was a big red symbiote, this huge thing. If you're curious about Bedlam, we first saw Bedlam in this current run's number 1. So we're issue 21. Go back 20 issues. In this first issue here is when we got introduced to Bedlam right here. Bedlam is my name. There you go. And you can see he was a big red symbiote. So now Venom's a big red symbiote. with an extra set of arms. I don't know. Who knows how long this will last? But if you're curious, go see if you can dig out this Venom #1. I mean, how many times we've had a Venom #1? There's probably plenty of them out there. I was actually surprised to see that they sometimes sell over cover price. Look, about $5, $6. Actually, that's a 1 in 25 that only sold for $10. But I put it in there anyway because, again, for context. But available copies, hey, $4, $6, $6. There's also multiple covers on this because you know how Marvel is. It's new #1. Let's throw all these covers at you. So find whatever you can find. But just could be a fun one if you can go and pick out of a box. Maybe you find it for cover price or less. That's all I'm talking about. And that's if you're curious about Bedlam, which apparently we're not going to see much of Bedlam anymore because he's been brought in to the fold. He is just Venom now. I don't know. That said, I only got one more for you this week, but it's going to be one that has a couple of different topics or angles in it. So we're going to get on over to Mortal Kombat because they've cast for the new Mortal Kombat movie. This one, thanks to Game Fragger, Mortal Kombat sequel cast Shao Kahn, Sindel, Quan Chi, and more. So a lot of characters getting cast for this new movie. Now, Shao Kahn, I believe, was just in that Mortal Kombat 1, which is already an expensive book. You already know it, so that's not something you're going to be able to go and find, or would be very interesting for me to talk about, for you to go dig out of a dollar box, because it's probably not going to happen. Good luck. Maybe you do, but let's look at some of the other characters, like Sindel. Like she's the queen of this other realm, universe, or something or other. It's Mortal Kombat's kind of weird. I don't know all my history with it. I just like to play it. I wasn't really paying attention to the stories all that much, but some places list, again, going online, doing some research, some place will list her first as this book from 1998, this Mortal Kombat 4 limited edition comic, which is very expensive and apparently is very hard to find. So maybe it doesn't belong here, but I knew nothing about this book personally. I'm sure many of you know nothing about this book, so maybe it's something you might want to just keep an eye out for, because a lot of stores probably don't know anything about this book either and may just shove this in a cheap box or a dollar box because they're like, what is this crappy CGI cover Mortal Kombat book? Who's going to care about this? Well, let's get into it. So inside the guts of this book, we do get, there's Reptile there. We do get Sindel sitting on the throne as the queen of, again, whatever this realm is. I don't remember. But she is in here. Some list this as her first, but we'll get into that in a second. Also in this book, at the tail end of it, we do get another character that was cast, this Quan Chi character. So here's a video game version of him. But in the end of this book, we do get him in this same book. So you're getting sort of a twofer, but not really. I don't know. Again, it's some limited edition, hard to find book. So chances of you finding it are probably going to be pretty slim because look at these prices. Copies sold, $150. Best offer on $300. And then we had a 9.6 best offer on $580. I didn't bother getting the actual accepted prices because that's not really that important. We're talking about just high values on this particular book and high asking prices as well, because what's on the market right now? Well, we've got copies looking for $200 and $280 for raw copies. That ain't bad if you can find this. This is one that you can do well if you can find it in a cheap box. Just saying. Granted, I know because of these prices, there's going to be a slim chance for you finding, because I think this is a pretty hard to find book. But like I said, I don't know how many people were aware of it. Just because then I shouldn't assume. Just because I didn't know about it, then a lot of other people didn't know about it. But I'm just saying, there's a chance that there's a lot of places that don't know about this book, and they can get just shoved in a box somewhere and marked down for very, very little. So look for this. Again, not the greatest CGI cover, but it is what it is. Know it because look at the values, look at the prices on this. So in case you can find it, good luck. And if you find one, please tag me, let me know. I'd love to see you find it because I'm going to keep an eye out for it now that I know what this is. So that said, let's move it on. And sticking with Quan Chi for a second, again, if you have a hard time finding this, just another fun book you might be able to find that kind of features the character. Granted, many years later, 2015, is Mortal Kombat X. I guess it's Mortal Kombat 10. But inside this, I think it's a Rod Rice cover too. So it's kind of cool there. But inside, we do get Quan Chi in here as well. So just sort of a reintroduction, more updated version from a later game adaptation. And it's like I said, DC had a 12-issue run. Maybe you find those just in a box somewhere. Granted, they sell for like $5, $17 for 4 random issues. What is it? 3, 4, 5, and 7. So just random lot of comics. They're only 17 bucks, so it's really hitting around cover price. Asking prices are 6, 8, $10. Not very expensive. So again, you're not gonna get rich if you find it. But hey, if you're curious, if you're interested, you want a little bit more of that backstory on the character, this is a way that you can go and find out who he is and a little bit more about him before we get the new movie. That's all. And speaking of which, I believe they also cast this King Gerard character as well. So King Gerard is the king and I guess husband to Sindel. So they're king and queen, and they actually both appear in this book. And I've talked about this book before on Hidden Gems, so this is going to be another tough one to keep an eye out for because it does sell for a little bit. And this is the Mortal Kombat Katana and Melina one shot. So inside this book, we get a little bit of this story of maybe I'll find it here. There's the end of realm of King Gerard and his wife Sindel. So here, she doesn't look like the evilish character that we see later, but this is, I think, the same person. So in theory, this would be her first, not the other one that a lot of places were pointing me towards as being her first. Granted, look for that book anyway because that book's expensive. But if you really are looking for the first Sindel, I think it's this book with King Gerard in Katana and Melina, this one shot. So if you really are a stickler for that first, I think it would be this one because it's the same person, I believe, Sindel, his wife. So hey, just saying. Somebody might need to update those online resources with that information. But like I said, this book is also pretty expensive. Not quite the level of that Mortal Kombat 4 limited edition, but copies have sold for $40, $45 recently, and asking prices are like $50 to $60, as you can see here. So once again, it's not a cheap book by any stretch. So, but it doesn't mean you can't find it. Doesn't mean you won't get lucky and find it out there. And it's just something to be, again, something for you to be aware of. And if you're curious and if you're excited for this new Mortal Kombat movie, these are some the comics that kind of tie into that. So that's why I'm listing them here. And with that, that's all I got for you this week. Again, I know it was a little bit of a shorter one, just kind of rushed through, but there wasn't a lot going on. Like I said, it wasn't a big week. If you saw my top 10 and 10, wasn't a lot moving on the aftermarket. Things have kind of slowed a little bit here in the midst of con season. Maybe it's just that quiet before it gets picked up again with San Diego coming in another couple of weeks. But that said, thanks for stopping by and checking this out. Maybe things will pick up next week. Maybe we'll get some more interesting stuff in new releases on Wednesdays that'll create some more fun things for us to go and look for in those back issue boxes. At least that's what I'm hoping for because I do have fun doing that. And hopefully you're enjoying me doing that. Hopefully me enjoying me pulling out some of these old stories that kind of tie into things that are actually going on in the books that we are reading on the weekly basis. And with that, thank you again for stopping by, checking this out, supporting the channel. Hopefully you're subbed up. If you aren't, please make sure you subscribe so you see all the other content we got for you. We got a lot of live shows hitting on Wednesdays, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I got recorded stuff like this show hitting on those other days to kind of fill out that schedule. There's new content every day here on Rennavision. So make sure you're taking part and joining in. And yeah, with that, I'll see you later with some more content. All right.